Today's Cosplay Con Talk episode is sponsored by Moco Queen Color Contacts. Don't forget to use my code Wayne for 10% off at checkout at mocoqueen.com. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. How's everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome back to another episode of Cosplay Con Talk, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. Tonight, I'm joined here by some familiar faces who you may not see in a while. If you go on to start, and if you guys want to introduce yourself, starting with you first, Kaz.
Yeah, I'm Caz Cosplay. I've been cosplaying since 2008. Officially making costumes since 2013. I am a tailor by trade, like professionally trained sewist, all that fun stuff. So like that's usually my focus. I dabble in like everything. That doesn't mean I'm good at it, but like I try. Um, Recently a competitive cosplayer.
Congrats, by the way.
Yeah, I'm just lazy about it, to be perfectly honest. Um, but yeah, I mean that's me.
And then familiar, you've probably seen them quite. They're probably pretty much a returning guest on here. Want to introducing yourself real quick, Console, for those who may not be familiar with you?
Yes. So I am Consul of Cosplay, and I have been cosplaying since 2009. I started making my cosplays around the same time, 2009. And I am also a competition cosplayer. I haven't competed in a while, but I plan to get back into it really soon. So, yeah.
Nice. Just to let you guys know, in just a couple more years, you guys will have been doing this for over 20 years.
Don't
Just not,
remind me.
just let that sink in. And I'm not making like a bad thing. That's like you guys have been cosplaying since, cosplay was just slowly becoming more mainstream here in the States.
Yeah, we've seen like the whole evolution of what cons and cosplay used to be like versus what it's like now, and it's very, very weird.
Oh, I believe it. So tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about making your very first cosplay, from the very first cosplay that these two made, from some of the techniques they used, to some advice as well, and to talk about the current cosplay they are working on, along with a cosplay they would love to make. Starting with you, Kaz, if you can remember, what was the very first cosplay you ever made, and what was that like? Like what through your mind is like making your first cosplay?
I'm gonna out myself really hard right now because my first cosplay was a Homestuck cosplay. Um, it was Nepeta from Homestuck, and it was specifically the Dreamer outfit, which is just like a skirt and like a stretchy shirt with like a high collar, super basic. Um, I had no idea what I was doing, and there is a big discrepancy from when I started cosplaying to when I started making. That's because I didn't have any money and I didn't have a sewing machine. I didn't have any care to learn how to sew. I had no idea that people made their costumes until like a couple years into my con going. But when I graduated high school, I was gifted a sewing machine because at that point, like I did want to at least like dabble in it. I didn't know that it was going to consume my career path, but like I wanted to at least try to learn. I had a friend who was really into sewing at the time too, so she kind of like helped me. My first sewing machine was a Singer piece of trash garbage, and I somehow sewed this costume with all knits, and I did it wrong. um, Pattern with Tushy. I don't remember what I was thinking, but like I just kind of like slapped it together and like it worked.
Hey, at least it worked. Real quick before we go to console, what made you want to cosplay from um Undertale? Or was it, oh no, was it Undertale, or what was it?
Homestuck?
Homestuck. Okay, Homestuck.
Oops.
My only familiarity with Homestuck is the story of the Sharpie bath.
Yeah, the one of many amazing, really stupid, don't do this stories. I was obsessed. I have ADHD. I didn't know that until last year. But a little fun thing about people with ADHD is that we have intense hyperfixations. And when I was younger, those periods of hyperfixations were a lot longer than they are now. So like I was reading Homestuck as it was coming out. It was my favorite thing ever. I got all my friends into it. And then when it was like time to pick a costume, I'm like, well, obviously I'm gonna pick this one. Um, that's about it. And then when it came to like what to sew, I tried to sew something that was very hard. Like my first actual sewing project, I'm an idiot. It was a glove. I wanted to make me some gloves. The big mistake. They turned out terrible. I was surprised that I never put sewing away forever because normally if I start something and I'm that bad at it, I'll never do it again. But we stuck with it. Made this costume. I could wear it. It stayed on my body, and I had fun. And that was pretty much really the motivating factor. I did a lot of cosplays that same year too. Most of them were thrifted, but like just kind of delving into the fandom side of things, not the bad side of the Homestuck fandom, thankfully. I didn't have a lot of personal experiences there, but like enough to kind of like keep that ball rolling after this was over.
Nice. Real quick, what was the hardest process? Like, what was the hardest thing for that cosplay?
Learning. Um, Nothing was like nearly as accessible. And even in 2013, like yeah, cosplay.com was like
I
the
remember
only thing.
that.
And there was a Tumblr. I feel like I'm dating myself so hard right now. There was a Tumblr called Homestuck Cosplay Help or something like that. Like I still it's still on the Tumblr that I have to this day. Like and they literally just had like a full like archive post of any and every Homestuck cosplayer tutorial that was ever posted on the internet that anyone found. And those were my holy grails. Making this.
Oh man. Console. Same question. What was the very first cosplay you made, and what was the process like? What was the hardest thing for it? And yeah, pretty much all the questions I asked Kaz.
So the first couple of costumes that I had were partially handmade by me, partially by my mom. I had a lot of help from my mother. She was the one that kind of taught me how to sew. Very, very basic. She's not a professional by any means, but she did know very basic, like how to use a sewing machine. So the first cosplay that I ever did, which was also my first handmade costume, was Tony Tony Chopper from One Piece. I was a little 12-year-old baby, and I also had a hyperfixation, not from the ADHD side of things, but from the autism side of things. I had pirate autism. And so I was like, an anime about pirates? Perfect. That's exactly what I want. And so Chopper was my favorite character. And I really wanted to go to my first convention, and I was like, okay, I have to have a costume. I just have to. Like that, obviously. That's just what my little 12-year-old brain told myself. I was like, oh, I have to do this. I have to have this costume. And so I go to my mom and I was like, I want to be this. And I showed a photo and it's a freaking reindeer. And so my mom was like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna figure it out. So we went to the thrift store, got like just a brown shirt, little purple pants, and we got like a yard of like fleece. Sewed myself some little leg warmers, some little gloves, and a little cowl like out of fleece. And we like took an old like birthday like Party City hat, painted it pink, added little clay antlers to it. It was very hodgepodge, very much homemade. But yeah, that's when I kind of first started learning how to sew. And it was just very basic, just a straight stitch right through the machine, because that's pretty much all that I really new, and like I said, my mom was not a professional sewer at all, but she showed me how to use the machine, and that I just kind of went from there. So yeah, that was the first couple of costumes I had to help with my mom because I was kind of a little bit scared of the sewing machine at first. So that one, and then I also did Clover from a video game 999. And
I remember 999.
yeah, so those were kind of some of my first couple. As far as me 100% making something from scratch, um, the first one was, I want to say Roy from Fire Emblem. And that was the first time I had ever done armor, first time I had done boot covers, first time I had done a lot. It was a lot of firsts for me. First time I did a cape, first time. Um, yeah, I made everything from scratch, patterned something myself, and it was not good, but it looked pretty okay. So Roy from Fire Emblem and also Lobby from Greenwade was also one that
Oh,
I made
that's your
primarily.
character.
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
very
So
nice.
I was pretty proud of that one to do it all by myself for the first time. But yeah, and Lobby from Greyman way back when was kind of one of my other first ones that I made myself 100%. So yeah, that was kind of my first. But yeah.
Very nice. Now on to real quick because I know we're kind of on a schedule here. Back to you, Kaz. What's the biggest cosplay you've ever made? Like it just took either a lot of fabric, a lot of time, or there was like intricate pieces to it.
Um, two answers. Vash and Adam for very different reasons.
Adam
Um,
from
Has Been Hotel Adam. That was my first
Oh,
competition piece. Yeah, so that's what I made for Rose City Comic Con last year. He didn't have like a lot of pieces per se. The wings were a lot of pieces. He's just big. Uh, and then Vash is a very intricate pattern. I think like when I just for the jacket, when I actually like um counted out all of the pattern pieces, I want to say there was like 37 pattern pieces.
I remember
Um,
seeing that at KomoriCon back in 2023.
yes. Yeah, I wore Vash a lot the year after I made him. Um, but yeah, like Adam was a lot of firsts
Oh
for
yeah.
me. It's
Okay,
like,
if I show a real quick picture
yeah, yeah,
for anyone,
yep, that me.
that's some big wings.
So, and I have my, I wear the same shoes with both Vash and Adam, which are my 9-inch platforms. I'm 5'2", so those things make me like almost 6 feet tall. Um, so like they're not ones that I can wear
Oh yeah,
excessively.
the boots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Look at them boots, and they're heeled too, so it's
God, I can't imagine.
it's
Do they
really
have a zipper on the side of them or
yeah,
like?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. Because like if they're not, then I can't
I know
imagine
if
the
I had to like
struggle.
buckle those up, I'd give up. Yeah, but I like it's strange because like yes, I do make a lot of like complicated costumes, but like I don't at the same time. And maybe it's just because I'm a tailor, like I'm used to making tailored stuff, so like I make tailored jackets like that. So when I whip one out, it's just like, it's just like any other jacket, and other people might see it and be like, "Whoa, that's amazing!" And I'm like, it's just a thing that I do. So I'm pushing myself to really do some like crazy, crazy, crazy stuff moving forward, and try to do a quality over quantity approach, um, especially for like doing competitions, because like giving yourself a good like time frame to like actually approach them with as much patience and time as you need, and then some just in case something doesn't work out. Um, but yeah, like um I those are for sure the two most complicated. Vash was more sewing complicated. Adam was more like engineering complicated. My guitar prop, it actually my husband's a musician, so I was consoling him for building the guitar to make sure all the little knobs and bobs were like as accurate as they could be while still following the canon design. Which he helped a lot with that, but like I had to make the whole thing. But I just wanted it to be like at least like it could work if it was real. And that was kind of my approach to that one. And then the wings like they do function. So I had to construct a like moving wing frame, which I'd never done before. I've never made wings before, let alone ones that move. So yeah, it was a lot of firsts, a lot of things. I learned a lot.
I mean,
Like 5 months is also still not enough time to make a costume like that.
5 months? Oh wow.
That's for sure. Yeah.
I mean, at least with the wings, it's good practice in case you ever do like Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII.
I love Final Fantasy. I have no interest in cosplaying Sephiroth.
That's
My
completely.
my list of Final Fantasy cosplays is way weirder,
Oh yeah, no. I mean, we'll probably get to
and
talk
we'll
about
talk
that.
about it, I'm sure, because one of them
Um,
is on the schedule for this year.
ooh, I think I know which one. Console. Biggest cosplay you've ever made.
Okay, so I feel like as I learn more, my biggest cosplay is determinant, I guess, on the time period in which like I was making each piece. So like to me, one of my biggest builds, even though it may not be as technically accurate as some of the stuff I have done, is one of the biggest things based off of kind of what I learned at that time. So one of them was King Armakin from Magi. I don't know,
Oh
however
yeah,
people pronounce it.
pronounced Moggy.
Yeah, I was like, I've heard it so many different ways. But that one was one that was a huge build for me personally, because that's one of the ones that I learned a lot from. So in my brain, how much I learn or how much new stuff I incorporate kind of indicates the size of the build, even though if I were to make that same outfit now, I feel like I could do it much better, much quicker, and of a much higher quality, and it wouldn't have been as big
Or
or intensive as I would back then. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
So that one,
speaking of wings.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that one, he had armor, um, like wings, sewing. He had a little bit of everything, a little bit of wig work, some prosthetic bit. Like there was all sorts of craziness going on with that outfit. So it was a lot of a learning opportunity for me. So yeah, I'd say that's probably one of my big ones. That or um not a big one in the sense of actual like craftsmanship or how much I worked on it, but just physically big was my Achilles from Land of the Lustrous. 'Cause that one I learned how to walk in stilts for, and it took up the entirety of my trunk because there was a lot of padded foam and a lot of like craziness going on and quite literally physically big. So that was a lot of fun. I really liked that outfit. I learned a lot from that one as well, but I'd say those are probably two of my bigger ones. I do have a lot of big pieces planned for my upcoming competitions and stuff, but I've kind of toned down a lot more in recent years just solely because of, life getting in the way type of things as far as my cosplays. So I haven't done a whole lot, but now I'm kind of settled in a lot more with my job and where I'm at and stuff to where I feel more comfortable kind of working towards building back up to bigger and better outfits.
Very nice. And I can't wait to see what those are. Now on to techniques, like the ones you guys use, and also advice for those who want to make their own, who want to start making their own cosplay for the first time. Kaz, what are some techniques that you use that help, and what kind of advice would you want to give to someone who wants to get into making their first cosplay?
I'm gonna give kind of a weird answer because I could go on and on about individual little techniques. We could be here for hours and days, even. I don't know what each individual person wants to do the most, but step number one is pick your like niche. Like if sewing is what speaks to you, then start with a heavy sewing project. Don't even start with a heavy sewing project, just start with a sewing project. If wigs speak to you, start with some, more interesting wigs. Do stuff that speaks to you, but at the same time, like, isn't too much. Because, like I said earlier, normally when I start something that ends up, beating me down really badly, I lose a lot of motivation. So don't start big and like, don't, I would never recommend it. Um, the baby steps, find something that speaks to you. If you want to do armor, and the cool thing about starting cosplay in the good year of 2025 is that there's so many resources. There's books, there's other cosplayers, there's the internet, YouTube tutorials on everything, and a lot of skills, including wigs now, which arguably were very gatekept until the last like couple of years. You can learn how to do anything. You just have to know how to research it. So find somebody that you trust that does what you want to do and either learn from them or get resources from them or just, do some Google searches and study and study a lot and practice a lot. Um don't shoot yourself in the foot by, tackling something new and ruining, a really nice like wig that you bought or, cutting a bunch of really expensive fabric the wrong way. That's why we all have like mock-ups, always make mock-ups unless you're super confident in your pattern making skills. I skip mock-ups sometimes, like not gonna lie, it's bad. I shouldn't do it, but I'm like, yeah, it's expensive to buy so much mock-up fabric. Um, but always make mock-ups, always, practice your skills before you like apply them. Because you might learn something from a mistake that you make, and you'd rather make the mistake on a practice piece than on your actual piece. Um, but yeah.
That's some sound advice. Real quick, what is your all-time favorite technique to use? Like, is a technique you always use when making a
Okay,
cosplay?
this is really, really specific. I love sewing welt pockets. Like, I love it. Most people hate them. I love them. I could make them all
What's
day.
what's that, if you don't mind
Um,
me asking?
actually, hold on. There's one in here somewhere.
It's like those pockets on like suit coats and jackets and stuff that look like a rectangle that just they just kind of look like a rectangle sitting on there.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one has a button in it, so it's even fancy, but like
Oh yeah, I see it.
it's just like a little slit and the pocket on the inside.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I've seen pants that have those too.
Yeah. So you see them in vests, like mine has
Oh yeah,
some.
no,
There's one right there.
oh,
Um
that's what those like people would put their pocket watches in.
yeah, yeah. And like, it's a if you were a tailor, you know how to make a welt pocket and you put them in everything, and I put them in
Which
everything. So
which you are, and
I
it seems like it's a craft you've perfected.
can't say perfected, but like mastered, maybe. It is my job, but there's always
Uh,
more to learn.
nice. Console, same question. What is your all-time favorite technique, and what's some advice you would want to give to someone who wants to make their first cosplay?
I wouldn't say I particularly have a favorite technique. Um, I like all of the different. Here's one thing I say. I like all of the different and unique ways to finish seams. There's so many different ways to finish a seam to where it's like I feel like half the fun with some of these weird and intricate patterns and designs that you kind of have to make with cosplay sometimes. Not everything can be adapted from a commercial pattern. A lot of things can, but not everything can. So sometimes you kind of have to self-pattern a lot. Is when you get weird curves, weird seams in places that aren't like normally there because the pattern is so weird, like trying to figure out how to finish it nicely and cleanly, like finish your seams in that way, is kind of like a weird, like artistic satisfaction that I have. I will say a lot of the time I'm lazy and I don't when I'm trying to rush something.
Valid.
Um, but but when I'm actually trying and working really hard on a piece and I have to find like some weird way to finish something, a lot of the times it's a lot of like weird self-discovery of like, oh, I learned a thing or yeah. So I would say like finishing scenes. That's such like a weird answer I feel, but
No, it's important.
Oh,
yeah.
See, I don't finish anything, I line everything,
Yeah.
which is
Which
way
I mean
more
in a
work.
way, in a way. Um but yeah, I would say one of my biggest like I guess pieces of advice, similar to kind of what Kaz was saying at the end, like don't be afraid to mess up. Like you're not gonna learn anything unless you actually do it or try it. I have so many people and they're like, "Oh, I'm like scared to try this because I don't want to mess up." I'm like, "Okay, but you have to. Like you're not gonna ever do it if you keep holding yourself back by telling yourself that you're gonna mess up." Like one of the again, one of my other like kind of bigger builds that I made when I was like really young was it was my first time kind of making a mascot style costume, and I did a Posol from Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, um, which is probably the least human looking version of a Posol. And I kind of made this huge mascot style costume. I literally poured glue on myself to just stick foam just all over my body, and then covered that with fabric and painted it with literal house paint. Like I literally painted that outfit with house paint, and I just kind of wiggled myself into that outfit and out. It was not made well, but it was cool looking by the end of it, and
It looks
I
good.
learned not to directly pour hot glue on my body. So
that sounds painful. I mean, I know there are some people who do the saran wrap technique and then put the duct tape over that when they're like making armor pieces.
I was like,
That's at least safe.
yeah, I was like 14. It was like my third or fourth costume like ever. It was wild. It was wild times. There was
Yeah.
also my first time making gloves too. I stuck my hand directly into a sewing
Don't do
machine
that.
to sew around the fabric. So I made a lot
For
of
those
really dumb
watching,
mistakes.
we don't recommend doing
No,
that.
no, no,
Don't do
no.
that.
Um,
Don't do that.
yeah.
Um,
So that's how you
yeah,
that's how you get hurt or end up in the hospital. And like, what happened to you? Is like, I hurt myself.
I
Yeah.
sewed my hand. Yeah, no, I made a lot of really, really kind of stupid mistakes in my young cosplay days. I actually ran a panel one time called "Do as I Say, Not as I Do," where I just
Yeah.
kind of
I was in that panel. It
yeah,
was
the
a lot
cat was
of
in that one, and we talked about all the stupid crap we did,
fun.
and learned later in life how unwise we were.
Yeah, I
So
feel like cosplayers our age have a lot of those stories too, because again, the dark ages where we had to learn through trial and error for everything. So yeah, we did a lot of stupid stuff. I'll give my stupid stuff story. So in my third costume that I ever made, which was Seymour, which I am remaking this year,
I
but
cannot
he's
wait. I
open
can't.
chested. Yeah, open chested. I learned that open chest binding is really painful for me in particular. So instead of doing that, I liquid latexed my costume to my skin to use the costume as the force to as a binder. It
oh,
hurt so bad coming off. It worked. It worked really well. I was super comfy until it had to come off. And it took some skin.
I
It
yeah,
was
I
mean,
was like, you're gonna rip
pleasant.
your skin right
for
off.
anyone
Yeah.
who's seen
It was not
Mr.
pleasant.
Seymour from Final Fantasy X, he
Yeah.
has like a big chest opening, like
I mean, yeah,
right.
like he barely wears a shirt. It's just out in the open. And silicone chests were not a thing in
No.
2015. Not by a
Yeah.
long shot. Um, so yeah, that's what I did. And even if they were, I couldn't afford one at the time anyway.
I mean, they're not. They're. I mean, luckily they're more affordable and more available now for what I've seen.
Yeah.
Because
Hmm.
I know console,
Like you can
I
spend money on a good one, or you can do what I did and spend like $100 on a really, really bad one.
I mean, console, I'm not mistaken, you've worn some fake chests for some of your cosplays, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken.
Yes, yeah. I actually have two of them.
And I imagine they're like they're I imagine they're not easy to take off because after like you're at the con all day, you're sweating and everything. And so I
Oh yeah,
imagine
that's
it's
not fun.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I usually only wear those when I know that I have someone that will be around to help me take it off at the end of the day.
yeah. Always have as I always say have a convention exit buddy with you or a
Yeah,
cos
and a handler when you're in big conventions.
or a handler. Yeah, no. Now on to um well. You kind of talked about it, Kaz, but what was it like making Adam for your, you said he was your competition piece last year?
Yeah, it was definitely a learning experience because I did want to make sure that I was like teaching myself a bunch of stuff. So I made a hoop skirt for the first time. I his robe is essentially a ball gown disguised as
I
a
mean,
robe.
you're not
Um,
wrong.
Yeah. And also wanted to make sure that like I needed to have a harness for my wings, but I didn't want it to be visible. So I actually made little cutouts in my top so that a like the little holsters for what my like where my wings stuck into, they stuck out of my shirt so that I could take them on and off without you seeing all of the straps because there's like six straps to hold those wings on.
Oh,
Not
jeez.
necessarily because they're super heavy, it's just because they're big. Um, so it was a lot of like, and like I said, I'm a short person. I'm only 5'2". I don't have a lot of physical retail space to spread out all of these crazy big designs. So I was trying to like scale everything to myself while also scaling it to this larger than life silhouette that I was trying to get. It and like what I realized after entering that competition was that I didn't play to enough of my strengths because at the end of the day, Adam did have some intense sewing involved, but not a lot, not enough. So like I didn't take any placements at that con, mostly because I know that I relied a lot on foam work and I'm not that good at it. So Uh, that's why I'm reassessing all of that this year. So when I enter, I'm doing a fully tailored head to toe. I actually just finished the shirt for this competition build. That's one of like 12 pieces that needs to be made, which is why I started now.
Ooh.
But yeah, like the whole thing, I'm going definitely into my tailoring uh realm to make this like the best thing that I can possibly sew right now.
Pulling out all the stops, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I'm serious about this one.
Can't wait to see it. Console, same question. What was the first cosplay you made for a competition?
Honestly, it's I don't remember if I'm gonna be honest. Like I
That's
had
all right.
competed a lot way back in the day in my kind of earlier cosplay days. I competed a lot. Um so I don't remember because a lot of those early costumes just kind of blend together in one amorphous blob in my head. One of the ones that I did compete in King Armakin, and so that was pretty fun. I know I competed in Achilleus, but I know that was kind of later in my kind of competing era. Um, I competed in Todo Heske from Hakuoki. That one had a lot of um like zigzag
Who?
triangles that I had to sew, which was absolute I hated that. Like
What was the name
every
of the
part of
what was the name, sorry for interrupting. What was the name of the character?
Todo Heske from Hakuoki, but it's very specific outfit. He's got like a several outfits, but this one is specifically only from the video game, one of the video games out of like four video games that there are.
Okay, all right, one more time. What was the name of the video game?
Hakuoki, Hakuoki, I think. I don't know.
Um,
Spelling is not my forte, that's for sure.
but he was
Yeah.
he was one you entered in a cosplay contest.
Yeah, I that was one where I hand wove my sandals, which was very fun, and I still have them and I still wear them to this day. I wear them with my Gabi Maru cosplay, my hand woven sandals. Um, they actually, I'm surprised they held up this long because that was a long time ago. But I guess, I mean, if you do something right the first time, you probably won't have to redo it later. That's another little, I guess, tidbit of knowledge is if you try
Yeah,
and make it right the first time, you don't have to remake it
Hey,
later.
for
some sound
sure.
that's some sound advice right there. Now, two more questions before we end this. Back to you, Kaz. What is a cosplay you are currently working on for this year that you're looking forward to debuting?
It'll be Mephisto from Blue Exorcist. I've been
Ooh.
wanting to do him for years. In fact, I've been hoarding supplies for him for years, so he's fully funded and everything. I just like last year I couldn't make him because I was mostly doing commission work. So when I wasn't working on my commissions, I was working on Adam because again, hyperfixation. So he is going to be my Rose City entry,
For
and I
anyone,
picked him. Yeah, I picked him
that's
because
gonna be
again, all
cool to see.
tailoring. It's all tailoring,
That's
and
all Taylor. Oh man,
it will be. Yeah.
that's like, are you gonna do the boots the same too where they're kind of pointed
Oh
up?
yeah. Oh, I bought this really cool sparkly vinyl that's gonna I'm gonna make the boots out of from scratch. Like I'm going all out with this one.
Yeah.
Um So that's a current project for later. Of course, I have like other things that I'm working on for like SoccerCon coming up in a few months, but those I'm like, I don't really care that much about. Like they'll look good, but they're just for hanging out with the homies. But yeah, when it comes to like big serious projects, I have Mephisto and then I'm gonna start Seymour also this year because it'll be 10 years since I made him, and I feel
Oh
like that's a
man.
good time to revisit and
I
redeem myself.
I saw I saw your because you sent me a picture. I saw your the concept for Seymour.
Yeah,
Like
because
it's just like all of his forms combined into one, and then a little hint of anima in there too.
yeah, so you guys get to know my plan because I want to do a skit competition with this costume and I want it to be a transforming garment and I want to go from his in-game look to my original design of all of his
Ooh.
the amalgamation of his other fights.
Uh, I can't wait to see what
I have no idea how I'm gonna do it yet.
you definitely gotta have
It's
one of
in
his you definitely gotta have one of his boss fight music
oh,
playing.
absolutely. Absolutely. That's my jam.
Are
Like
are you gonna have like his final fight inside
oh
Sin?
yeah.
Because
No, that's like
oh
the best song in all of Final Fantasy.
yes, yes, having his final boss
Yeah,
fight music when you're
yeah.
inside Sin
It's
is
epic.
like
Hmm,
it's like the all time, and probably
so
that's
good.
actually one of his easier boss fights. If I'm
It
not gonna
is.
be,
It really is. Like I will draw it out just so I can hear that song more.
I mean,
Because it's
it's
so good, but it's like so end game.
his Gagazet one is hard, but his end
Uh-huh.
game his final one
Yeah.
is Sin. Sorry,
Well, they
going a
give it
little.
to you right after you're able to do all the side quests and like really like beef up your characters and stuff. So
Ironically enough, you have to
yeah.
fight. You fight a boss before him too. So it's just
Yeah.
like, oh man. Console. Same question. What is a piece you are currently working on for this year?
Oh, I have a huge list of costumes that I want to attempt to start this year. Most of them probably will not happen, but one for sure, or I guess two for sure, that I am either actively working on or going to be start very, very soon is I have Silas from Love and Deep Space, specifically his Abyssum Sovereign form, where he's a big
S
dragon boy.
Silas, Love in Deep Space. I'm looking that up.
Yep, specifically his dragon form. He's got a
Oh,
big ass tail.
okay. I've seen people play like a mob. I think this is a mobile game.
Yes. Yep.
I've seen a lot of people on TikTok a while back play this one, and yeah, for anyone wondering, I can show this.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yep. Big dragon form. That
Yeah.
one's not going to be a competition piece, but it is very, I guess, craft intensive. I have like probably about 10% of it done. I have like his pants done and a couple of the like accessories and
I'm
stuff like
curious
that
how you
done.
were gonna go about doing those.
Yeah. I have a plan and I already hate myself for it.
And I take it
So,
you're gonna be wearing a fake chest as well because he's got that like that
mhm.
ruby in the center.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like,
So, one of
jeez, that
the
is
one
intricate.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
For
I'm
anyone wondering
already
what
hating myself for
for
it.
anyone wondering what Silas looks like without his dragon form, this is
He's just a normal dude in a
Like
leather
he's just a
jacket.
guy.
just he's
He's
just
just
a
a guy
guy.
in a leather jacket.
Oh,
And
oh,
of
that's
course
right.
I was like, gotta be a dragon.
Oh, that's right. There's because I've seen the ones with Raphael and Zane
Hmm.
from that.
Yeah. One of my other outfits that I am going to do actually for competition is Qin Shi Huang from Records of Ragnarok. That one I'm actually starting this year. I am
What's his name?
Qin Shi Huang, Qin
Oh, yeah.
Shi
Oh,
Hung.
you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, him,
This specific
my
outfit?
man. Yes, yeah.
Jeez.
So I'm
That
gonna
looks like
be
a lot of detail as well, especially the gloves where he has like the pointed things.
yeah. So that one is going to be a competition piece. So there's a lot of intricacies within that one.
Especially
So I'm gonna be
those shoes
competing.
too.
Yeah, I was actually just gonna mention I'm gonna try and cobble my own shoes this year. That's a new skill that I'm trying to learn.
That's pretty
And there's going
cool.
to be embroidery, beadwork. There's going to be a little bit of armor work because spoilers, I suppose, he does get his Valkyrie turns into a set of armor. There's going to be a little bit of wire work to get those little finger cuffs. Some resin casting. There's going to be all sorts of crazy stuff going on in that outfit. Some wig work, obviously. So I'm really excited. There's going to be a lot of different things involved in that. And I'm also going to be making um Shujoshi cosplays, their outfit for the competition that we're competing at, who's going to be my Valkyrie. And we're also going to hopefully do a skit in which they will also turn into the villain that I face off,
Ooh,
Hades, within the
what
series.
what con is this for?
We're gonna try to do either ALA or maybe travel for Hallmat next year or there we have a couple of different options. We were thinking maybe level up. We have so many different
L-
options that we're thinking about competing in. But we want to
Level
do
up
it
would
at
be
the
pretty
bigger
cool.
con.
No,
Yeah, so I'm
that makes perfect sense. Go big or go home. Since
yeah. So we're
nice.
gonna try. It's gonna be a long while, but for right now, I'm only going to be working on my outfit because I know for sure I have all the pieces out. We do not have official colors for the Valkyrie's outfit yet, so I'm thinking by hopefully by the time I make my outfit and the Hades outfit, that we might officially get colors for the Valkyrie's outfit, and then I can make that one. So I'm trying to make three outfits for one competition, and it's going to be kind of a
Oh,
nightmare.
jeez.
Um,
That should still be interesting. You got to get pictures, of course.
yeah. So we're gonna try. It's gonna be a lot of work, but I'm very, very excited. This has been something that we've been planning for a long time. So, and I'm actually going to get started on it this year.
Nice.
So, promise it'll be done this year, but we're at least going to
Oh,
start it this year.
okay. So we got one more question in because yeah, we're actually doing pretty well. Kaz, what is what's the dream cause you would love to make? Like it's a character you always wanted to do, but just either it's not in the budget, skill set yet, stuff like that.
I'm gonna give a different answer than I gave you last time because but it's still Final Fantasy related. And it might seem a little underwhelming, but the reason why it's kind of like out of the realm of possibilities is because of A, the material I want to use, and B, a machine that I need. But I really want to
Ooh.
do both here from Final Fantasy
Oh,
12.
yes.
And
Sorry.
the reason why is because his vest is so intricately cut and so very precise. I want a laser cutter before I even attempt to tackle. Oh,
Look at
see
that
that?
vest.
No, I'm
And
not doing
look,
that by hand. That's psycho behavior.
but yeah, I
Um,
mean, like look at like all that. Look at the
the
shoes.
embossed leather pants. Are you kidding me? I love. It's good. It's good shit. But I
Like,
don't
but
have the
like,
tools that I need for that.
but
Yeah.
like his vest. Like he's my favorite
hmm
character. We actually talked about that a
We
while back.
did. I know.
And
I love Final Fantasy 12. Like it is my second favorite Final Fantasy. It does not get enough love.
oh no,
Um,
Bosch von Ronstenberg is on my list someday
yeah.
down the road.
Yeah.
But like, oh yeah, that's
Um,
right. He also has the bracelet
mhm.
and the colored rings. I forgot
Yeah,
about
no,
that.
like all of his jewelry are like fairly intricate. His shirt is super cool with all the like flossing on the shoulders and whatnot. And again, like the embossed leathers and then the
Oh.
laser cut leathers. I mean, obviously, like Final Fantasy wouldn't be laser cut per se, but
Oh,
like I would not tackle that without some
those
sort
are
of
like
precision instrument.
those are like sandals he's wearing.
Yeah, he's got some weird shoes and
I
like again
never
all this crazy detail. And like I'd have to make his gun as well, and that's a lot of prop work that I'm not
between
like fully ready to tackle yet. So
between Final Fantasy 12 and 10, both have intricate looking outfits in their own way, especially when it comes
they
to
do,
like
and they're kind of terrible.
I mean, but
They're kind of terrible. They're great.
they're so good though, but like
They don't make sense,
no,
which is
like
like a Final Fantasy thing in general, but like 10 and 12 are particularly bad.
7 is just like you can get away with doing
Seven's
7 real cool.
seven's way normal compared to
And
later
13.
installment. 13, yeah, they're pretty normal.
I would categorize 9, 10, and
Not
12
nine is like on the fence.
and
Kuja
anything
is
from
another one that's on my list to
ooh,
do.
that
Him
tail's
is
gonna be
more of
interesting.
like it's a lot of armor and he does not wear a lot of clothes.
No, he's like Seymour, not to mention you got
Yeah,
the tail he has too, just like Zidane.
yeah,
Um, jeez, that I'm just looking. I'm like, that's gonna be cool to see though, but like I know that's gonna be a bitch to make.
sure is.
Console, same question. What is the piece you would like to make in the future, like a dream build, I guess. Whether it's like something regular or just something over the top, like
So one of my all-time dream builds that I want to do is one that I haven't even considered doing solely because I would need like four handlers to do it.
oh
And
geez. I'm just
convincing
like
four people to follow me around all day and do nothing but make sure I don't absolutely fall apart is very hard to do, to have a ton of handlers. And that is uh, also from Magi is the Belial Jin equip form of Hakuryu Ren. And the reason why is he has these kind of like shin guards that are like these like spinal cord looking shin guards, and out from the shin guards, yes, are these massive bone dragons that surround him at all times, in addition to having four arms and wings, and a gigantic, like
I'm gonna
7 foot
say
high.
that's a
So
huge
Like that's a character design.
and I always allow one F word, but that's a big motherfucker. Holy shit!
yeah, and I would be like, oh, I'll just forego the bone dragons. No, they're attached to his body. Like, and my little autistic brain would not be able to do it without wanting to have bone dragons. Like, they're so cool.
And
Yeah, so having wings, four arms, like 7 foot scythe, and like three bone dragons in
Oh yeah.
addition to all of the other stupidity that is actually on his body. Like,
Not to
I need
mention,
like four people to help me at all times.
he's got those like red eye those eyes on his arms.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
So I
I'm looking it
also
up.
need like prosthetics and stuff.
I'm
Yeah.
looking it up, and there is no cosplay for him whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because I
I
don't
that
think
has
any.
been one of my dream costumes for literally forever. Like I have sketches of exactly how I would do it and what I would need to do it. Like I have a whole like binder like ready to go for when I can finally convince people. I'm like, please.
You're gonna need like an army for that one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah, and that's
jeez.
why I haven't done it. I just haven't like I just need manpower, honestly, to just keep me like able to walk in that outfit.
Basically, it's like a gigantic puppet in a sense.
Exactly, exactly. I would need bone dragon puppeteers all day.
Yeah, that's
All
one
right.
that just kind of gets somewhere and stays put
Oh
until it
man,
can
Exactly.
you
leave.
need like a
Yeah.
crane or something for that.
Yeah. Get
So
airlifted.
seriously. All right, last question before we end this. Kaz, any last minute advice you'd like to throw out there for those who are listening and are watching this?
I think I already said it, but like at the end of the day, like if you want to get into cosplay, just go for it. Like yeah, you're gonna make mistakes. Yeah, you're gonna go through the trials and tribulations we all do. If it doesn't turn you off to cosplay, then that means that you probably do enjoy it. And it's so easy to learn now. Like I'm frustrated with how easy it is to learn now. Um, but like just take your projects at your own pace. Don't bite off more than you can chew. You don't have to go enter competitions right away if you don't want to. You can if you want to. You learn a lot at competitions because everybody back there likes to chit chat with you. Like I met a one of the journeymen who was in line right behind me or right in front of me because I was the first master at Rose and they were the last journeyman. We were chatting for a while. They were 17 as a journeyman. And so now like I give them advice all the time and like we try to bolster like a learning community and like other cosplayers usually love to yap about how they do stuff. So find enough of them and you can learn a lot.
That's honestly some really good sound advice. No, seriously, that I think anyone can learn from one another, especially if like you're like. And I've also noticed that some people, when you're in line competing, those people can be very friendly too.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's very rare to find a competitive cosplayer that's like really mean.
Well, they're
Like,
they're 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 they're
I know
out
they're out
there.
there, but
They're out
like,
there, but like I agree. Console, same question. Any last minute advice you'd like to throw out there?
Um, this is something that my grandpa says all the time is the answer is always no unless you ask. So don't be afraid to ask questions to people because the worst they can do is say no. Like if you ask, "Hey, how did you like style this wig?" Like to a cosplayer, the worst they can be is like, "Sorry, I don't feel comfortable telling you." But 99.9% of the time, like Kaz was saying, like the community is very welcoming in the sense of wanting to share advice and help people out. There are always going to be those kind of bad apples like running around, but just ask, and people are more than happy to share most of the time. That and as long as it is safe and doesn't put you in financial debt, there's no wrong way to cosplay. Like if like a lot of the stuff that we did, Kaz and I did back in our early days, like, yeah, it probably wasn't safe or smart, but we made a thing and we
Mhm.
wore the thing and it made us happy. So as long as you don't put yourself in debt and are safe doing it, you can cosplay however you want.
Some again, some really good sound advice. All right, it is 7 o'clock. Let us get to where we have you drop your links. Kaz, real quick, where can people find you on social media if they want to stay up to date with your cosplays, the conventions you go to, and all that other fun stuff?
Yeah, I'm Caz mostly on Instagram is where I'm most active. I've been trying to use Blue Sky a lot, because the Twitter is Twitter.
That's
And
enough.
I have a TikTok. I never post to it, but I have one, and that's about it. I stream D&D like on Sundays every now and then, on Burnout Vaughn's channel if you ever want to hear me play D&D on occasion. But yeah, that's about it.
And Consul, where can people find you on social media to stay up to date with your cosplays, cons and stuff like that?
I, I'm Control of Cosplay on pretty much everything. That's CONSUL cosplay. Primarily on Instagram. I also have a YouTube. I also have a TikTok. I'm primarily active on Instagram, but I am going to be posting my entire progress of Qin Shi Huang on YouTube and TikTok. And I have been posting a lot of like short build stuff on TikTok as well. So,
Very
yeah.
nice. Oh, both links will be in the description below. As always, I'm Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for watching.